Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. It's nice to see all of you here today. We are back with IPSB and Excel's AI webinar. My name is Jami Ramli from IPSB Technology. Thank you for tuning in to this second session of IPSB and Excel's webinar. If you missed the first session, please tune in to our YouTube link as below. Previously, we discussed Excel AI Radically Simple Search, and today we will be discussing Excel AI's artificial intelligence and machine learning in media. I'd like to introduce today's panelists. We have Mardhiah Nasir, Director and VP of Sales, IPSB Technology from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and also Sam Bogoch, CEO of Excel AI from Boston, USA. We are here today to shed some light on how artificial intelligence and machine learning are impacting the media and entertainment industry. For this, please welcome Mardhiah.
Hello, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon if you're somewhere around in the US probably. And welcome to our session. So for today's session, we're going to talk a lot on AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. This word is quite a buzzword for the past years. And in today's world, I think you can't run away with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So if you remember, I think we used to watch Terminator. So that's what we think about machine learning and AI. But in today's world, I think a lot of our applications as well as our workloads will be relying on artificial intelligence. So today's session, we're going to deep dive with Sam to look into how artificial intelligence be able to help with your video management. They'll be able to help with the video analytics and your big data asset management, your images, your audio, anything related to your digital assets. AI and machine learning be able to help you in terms of the process of identifying the images, identifying the right asset to use in your environment and things like that. So I think we at IPSB, we built the package or the solution for our customers in order to solve your problem. The advancement of AI and machine learning is still in the beginning of stage. However, we feel that in years to come, there's a lot more things to do, especially within the video analytics. So yeah, so that's a bit introduction about how AI ML be able to help you and how IPSB be able to assist you within your environment.
Please welcome Sam.
Hi, great to be here. And it's a very exciting topic. There's a huge amount happening in sort of many parts of the world and many parts of the industry all at the same time. So, of course, this is not a very normal time either. So there are some other changes that are happening because of COVID. But the broader trends about how machine learning and artificial intelligence are being applied to media, those have, if anything, only accelerated in the last few months. I spent 5 years at Avid in charge of product management for this space, for our Interplay and Media Central products. And before that, going back into the 2000s and even the late 90s, I was responsible for system integration for a number of photo industry platforms that were doing very similar kinds of digital asset management and media management. And then prior to that, I was involved in the development of what were then called neural networks, or essentially the 1990s version of deep learning. So that gave me a pretty good perspective all the way from kind of how deep learning operates, even in a very primitive form, and then some of the challenges that are present with media workflows. So when I started Axel in 2012 with my co-founders, we had an idea that at some point this kind of AI machine learning technology could become relevant to media, but it was not our focus. We were really more focused on delivering a very simple browser-based platform for web search and web workflows. We delivered on that, but then beginning in about 2018, it began to be clear that AI and machine learning were becoming extremely relevant to video. And specifically, because the processing power, which was never really adequate before for doing this kind of work, was now not only adequate, but widely available. So suddenly you could think about processing the entirety of a video and, for instance, transcribing what was in it, analyzing the people that were in it, analyzing the objects in it, and even doing some forms of QC on the footage. All of this had to be done by human beings before, but now, beginning in about 2018, it started to be possible to think about this in an automated way. So video has been growing both in popularity and in, I would say, depth of adoption over the last couple of decades. And meanwhile, the power of AI has been growing. So essentially what you have is these two huge forces that are meeting together because suddenly we have a lot more video and we have a lot more processing power to analyze it with. And that really has brought us to this key point. Of course, I'm not even mentioning things like the increasing importance of video in society, the fact that so much content consumption, advertising, and just overall communication is now done through video. But you get the general idea is that as the amount of video grows, it becomes almost impractical to have people annotating and selecting all the way through. You need some kinds of automated tools. And just in time, AI and machine learning have arisen as potentially good ways to solve this problem. So how is media evolving? I think the big thing that we've seen is that there's just so much more of it. Back, for instance, in the 2000s, an HD video camera was a big, elaborate object that only a large broadcaster would own. Most video back then was SD. It was shot on a variety of tapes and DVDs and things, totally not searchable, sometimes not even digital. And all of that has been evolving to a point where today, most video is in fact digital. It is shot on hard drives or network storage or to the cloud. And all of that should be searchable because it's digital. But the way that media people think about this problem is still rooted in the days of decks and DVDs. Many times it's, what do I have in this show? What do I have in this block of content or in this folder of files? And they're not thinking about the bigger picture of what do we have across our organization. So the idea that video has evolved in the direction of being much more plentiful, but also much more searchable because it's digital, those two trends have been very consistent over the last couple of decades. And today, we have far more media than we ever had before, but we finally have a chance to try and figure out what's in it. And so that's really the big evolution. The other evolution, of course, is that delivering the video to your audiences has become much more multi-channel. There's OTT, there's streaming of various kinds, there's terrestrial, there's cable, there's satellite, there's mobile phones. And so you can deliver this media in an almost unlimited number of channels, times of day, formats. But again, what can you deliver and how do you figure out what to deliver takes understanding of the content. So people who deliver content are realizing that there's so much more. Now, this has only increased with the adoption of social media because it's not just about how much you stream, you're streaming it in much smaller chunks and typically doing that in response to somebody's request for that material. They're not watching 2 hours of linear footage. I want to see the highlight of that game right now, and they want to click on it and see that. So all the long form media that was there needs to be cut up, essentially optimized, put into smaller pieces, and then made available to stream over social media. So again, if you can't search this stuff, you're gonna be struggling almost from the beginning. And finally, what's the impact of COVID? Here we are, we're all in our homes. In most work environments, workers have moved to do as much work as possible from home, and that has only increased the amount of streaming media, the amount of streaming content, the amount of streaming advertising that they're consuming, and the amount of social media. So all of this is going up, 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 and everybody is much more dependent on video than we were even 12 months ago. Again, though, all that does is pushes us back to how are we going to find the right material to match up with what people want to watch. And in that area, AI and machine learning are perfectly situated to help us solve these problems.
A key feature of Axel is our use of AI tools to add metadata to files. This can be face recognition, speech-to-text, image recognition, and character recognition. Axel currently has 3 different AI solutions. These include 2 levels of speech-to-text and a third process which provides all of the AI features mentioned. Clips can be processed by any user who has permission to process the files. In these examples, the files have been processed by Microsoft Video Indexer. When opening a file, we can see a number of new tabs under the player window containing the AI data. The first of the new tabs is Faces. Here we can see Alex and Katie. This Axel system has been taught that these faces are of Alex and Katie. Other files show Patrice and Neil. At some point the system was taught who these faces were. If the faces in the videos are famous, they may be recognized automatically and not need to be taught. Next we have Annotations. This tab contains descriptions of what is in the clip. In this case, people, shirt, smile, wall. This may be helpful to find a particular file using our search tools. The Transcript tab is the speech-to-text section. This shows the captured text. As the clip plays, the text appears as subtitles in the player window. It's not perfect, so a user can edit the text on the right side of the Axel interface. As the clip plays, the edit window tracks the related text. A user can stop the video and update the text where needed. It's also possible to search for text and filter the text within the video. For example, if I search for the numbers 15116, which was our booth number at NEB, the clips are found that have the number in the text. Then I can filter to find exactly where the number was said. Finally, we have the OCR tab, or the character recognition. In this example, we can see and filter the word search or XDCAM. We can filter any of the words that have been recognized in the clip.
Thank you so much, Axel. That was a very insightful information and knowledge sharing, especially with IPSB has been in the media entertainment industry for the past decade. It is true that media has grown so much and evolved digitally. We really are thankful to have a software like Axel in the market that be able to assist and guide us through this journey of evolution. Digital transformation is still ongoing. There's a lot more for us to explore, and we really hope this will help you and your organization to build or to transform your artificial intelligence and machine learning within your big data environment or video or assets environment and things like that. So yeah, thank you so much, Axel.
Does Excel have your own AI engines or do you rely on third parties?
Good question. The answer is a little bit of both. As you can imagine, there are hundreds of companies worldwide, maybe even thousands, that are developing some pretty powerful AI algorithms today. And we, as a 22-person company, are not going to, single-handedly do the best job in all these areas. So we do rely heavily on what other companies provide and also some of the open source frameworks that are out there. So essentially, there are kind of three tiers. There's stuff that we develop in-house. There's the stuff that is widely available through open source. And then there are partners that we license from in order to deliver AI solutions to our customers. And today, our products are kind of equal parts of those three. So we do have some algorithms that we've developed in-house, such as our face recognition tool, but this has been built on top of standard machine learning frameworks that are essentially state-of-the-art throughout the industry. Then we have technology where we have built on top of third-party products to deliver something a little bit unique or a little bit more powerful for our customers. And so we have also done that, particularly with our Axel Speech product, which is our integrated speech transcription product. And then we also offer third-party products, such as, for instance, Speechmatics. They offer more languages than we do, and also provide, in some cases, higher levels of accuracy or additional features. So while we have our own in-house speech transcription, for many languages, our recommended speech transcription is from Speechmatics. And so in that sense, it's a combination of our own development plus open source frameworks and third-party products. And then there are some third-party vendors, like for instance, Microsoft with their video indexer, where they offer a range of capabilities that we simply don't cover with tools that we're able to develop or partner with. So we also have offered the ability to turn on Microsoft Video Indexer for any of your footage. The nice thing is that each Axel customer can decide which of these engines they want to turn on for which footage. And so they can be selective, not only about the metadata that they want in their database, but also their level of spending, because some of these are very affordable and others are a little bit more expensive, especially when they're measured by the minute.
What trends or challenge are you seeing in artificial intelligence and machine learning in media and entertainment industry?
The big trends are that AI is here and increasingly powerful. In fact, becoming more powerful every 3 to 6 months. This is a great opportunity for the industry because we can use all that power, but it also creates decisions that have to be made about when to apply the technology, when it is cost effective, and when it's accurate enough to be useful. So just because you can do speech recognition, for instance, speech transcription, that does not mean that it's useful. If the error rate is too high, if it's only maybe 70% accurate, then when you do a search, you're going to find all kinds of incorrect information in the transcripts of your files. You need it to be 85 or 90 or 95% accurate. And for many languages, this is only just beginning to happen. So if you have thousands of hours of footage you want to analyze, you have a difficult decision. Do you analyze it right now? Maybe the accuracy will be 85%. Or do you wait a year when the accuracy might be 90 or 95%? And you will probably spend less in 1 year because the technology is coming down in cost as it's coming up in power. So it creates some interesting decisions. And what many of our customers are doing is they're doing proofs of concept. So they're saying, I want to use it on 100 hours of footage. I'm going to show it to my boss and my coworkers, and we're going to decide, is it good enough today? Or should we wait 6 months or wait a year before making a bigger spend and doing all of our media? The same applies to face recognition, to object recognition, and also to some new kinds of AI and machine learning that are trying to do kind of higher level analysis. So not just what objects are in the video or what people said in the video, but what kind of video is this? Is this a comedy? Is it action? Is it sports? If it's sports, where are the highlights? Really, state-of-the-art AI can help you find these places in the footage. But again, these technologies are just becoming available now. So do you try and apply them now, or do you wait? And every year that goes by, all of these technologies get better and better and cheaper and cheaper. I can confidently say that in 5 years, you will want to use this technology for all your footage in many, many ways, because it will be very inexpensive and very powerful. And if you're shooting a lot of footage, or even if you have contributed like user-generated content, you are going to want to analyze that and use this AI to find the good stuff. But today, it's not so clear. You might prefer to have your staff spend the time. And it also depends on the cost of the staff. Do you have high-cost staff or low-cost staff? So lots of interesting business decisions that go around how much AI to use and when.
What is the biggest role of artificial intelligence and machine learning in media and entertainment industry?
It's hard to really pin down one biggest role. Certainly in the areas of audience analysis, now that OTT vendors have much better ways to quantify who has been watching and what they've been watching, that's a really key role for artificial intelligence. That's on the distribution side. It's like, how can we improve our programming so that more people will watch and they'll pay closer attention and they won't change to somebody else's providers. That's a really big role. Other big roles include areas like automated QC. In other words, making sure that the material that goes out is not objectionable or doesn't contain material against local standards. Other things include analyzing how to best place advertisements into the flow of material that's going out, because of course advertisers want to make the best use of their funds, and somebody just looking over a big spreadsheet with cost per minute, those people are not going to be able to analyze this as closely as machine learning is able to do. So those are all good uses of this technology in the media space. We are very closely focused on a different area, which is content generation and analysis at the time of content generation. So how can you make better content using intelligence to examine the raw footage that you have? And we have customers ranging from, say, reality shows where they have thousands or tens of thousands of hours of footage, political campaigns where the candidates are followed around by teams who shoot all this video, and then they come back and they want to be able to respond to questions on social media about what did the candidate say about this issue, or what did the candidate say about that issue. We have sports teams using it for marketing purposes or highlights. We have governments using it for a wide range of purposes, including showing the workings of the government in more transparent ways. And we have corporate customers who are using it for things like corporate all-hands meetings and presentations made by partners and analysts that can be reused later. So it's hard to pick out one area, but I think the important thing is that overall, the biggest single role of AI and machine learning in media is to make the sheer amount of content understandable and searchable. That is really the biggest role. And then all these other uses kind of flow from that.
What's next in AI and machine learning in media and entertainment?
As I mentioned before, this technology is becoming much, much more powerful. So all the uses of it today, you can think of as baby steps. Sure, it can analyze your video a little bit, but what if it could analyze your video really, really well? And what if, in fact, it could begin to do some editing for you? What if you could put together a highlight reel from a game, or even a promo reel from a movie without having to have editors do those? And what if the promo reel from the movie could be optimized for the audience? Maybe it would figure out that for girls, they want to see certain scenes, but for boys, they want to see other scenes, or younger people and old people. In other words, what if a movie had 100 different promos instead of just 2 or 3 different promos, based very closely on what audiences were watching? And what if the AI could generate these 100 different promos in less time than it takes an editor to manually generate 1 or 2 promos? Those are the kinds of things that you're going to begin to see, where the AI is not just being used to create kind of basic metadata about the content, but even to shape the content and then figure out who to deliver it to. And I would say that that's really what's next. But I also feel like, as I mentioned before, simply the power and availability of AI is going to improve by so much that even leaving aside these new applications, that just in today's applications, where if the AI could be used all the time, and if every hour of footage was thoroughly analyzed and much easier to reuse, I think we would see some very big improvements just from that. But it won't be only that, because by the time we get 2 or 3 years from now, the AI will be powerful enough to actually shape the way that the content is made.
How's AI and machine learning is changing media and entertainment?
So the biggest change is probably in the way that people view the content. And when I say view, I don't mean just like you and I watch TV. I mean the owners of the content, the creators of the content, they are realizing that they have something valuable. They always knew they had something valuable, but it was hidden on, reels of film, or it was hidden on tapes. And they thought, well, maybe someday I'll go through and do all that, but I have another project to work on, so I'm going to go do that first. And of course, they almost never got back to the archives. One interesting thing that's happened with COVID is that archives have become a little bit more important, because public events like concerts and sports have slowed way down, right? So if you're used to having a lot of content and you don't have so much new stuff, you have to go back and go to your archives. And we've seen this certainly worldwide, where, for instance, sports teams are going back and showing earlier seasons because they don't have so much content for the current season yet. I think that importance is really shining a spotlight on the fact that there is lots more media out there than people can really understand and reuse. So that's probably the biggest structural impact, but we haven't even seen the longer term impacts yet. It's going to get more and more interesting over the next few years.
How is AI and machine learning evolving in general or in other industries?
So the same trends that we've described here in media are also happening in other industries, everything from construction to transportation to governments to military. I mean, there are so many uses for AI and machine learning. It's really becoming the next version of software. For the first maybe 50 years of software, the people that were writing it had to write every line of the software. And if you wanted to instruct a machine to do something, you had to tell it, in a line of code. With AI, the machines can do a lot more on their own. This is, of course, very powerful, but also very scary. So it has to be watched very closely. But it is safe to say that across all these disciplines, AI and ML are, in fact, kind of merging into the standard capabilities of what software has done in the past. And so software is getting smarter, it's getting more adaptable, and it's getting more independent in terms of what the system can decide to do on its own. Everything from autonomous vehicles to decision-making, on credit scores and everything in between. So that is the broader trend. The amount of computing horsepower to do this is going up dramatically almost every year. The CPUs and GPUs to run this are getting much more powerful. In other words, both Intel and AMD on the CPU side, NVIDIA and AMD on the GPU side. The sheer amount of power is unbelievable. And then the fact that people like Amazon and Google and Microsoft are aggregating this into cloud platforms so that if you need thousands of processors to work on something in the next 30 minutes, you can get them. So I think you can expect very, very rapid growth of AI capabilities and machine learning across these different areas. And you can expect that it's going to be playing a much larger ongoing role in all of our lives.
Thank you, Mardhiah. Thank you, Sam, for that great information about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Is there anything else you want to add, Mardhiah?
So we really hope that our viewers be able to learn and enjoy today's session. There's a lot of useful information during this webinar. If you have more questions or if you have any ideas that you want to throw it to us, feel free to do so. Or if you have anything regarding media asset management, production asset management, digital asset management, feel free just to send us WhatsApp. You can call us, you can email us, and through our social media pages or website. So we hope that within the session, you'll be able to learn how you and your organization be able to adapt the artificial intelligence and machine learning into your environment. And we would like to thank you all for participating this webinar, and we hope to see you again.
Are there any last words from you, Sam?
So for more information on Axle AI, probably the best place to go is our website, www.axle.ai. And we have a lot of resources there, some customer stories and technical information as well. Feel free to also contact IPSB, who are our distributor and lead integrator in Malaysia and Southeast Asia. And between us and IPSB, hopefully we can provide enough answers and information to help you make good decisions about how and when to incorporate this technology in your future plans.
We hope our viewers enjoyed this session and get useful information from this webinar. If you have more questions regarding today's topic, feel free to contact us through email, social media pages, or website. I would like to thank you all for joining us today and appreciate if you can comment any feedback down below. See you in our next webinar session. Goodbye and Assalamualaikum.